The Pacific Northwest highways are often shrouded in fog. Mist rolls in from the ocean, casting an eerie silence over these long and winding roads. And on a cold January night in 1981, the quiet town of Kaiser, Oregon, was plunged into darkness by a shocking and brutal crime. Inside a dimly lit office building, two young women working the night shift as cleaners were unaware their lives were about to change irrevocably. Little did they know, a man had slipped into the building with deadly intent. Within moments, he attacked. One woman wouldn't survive, but the other would live to tell a tale that would bring fear to everyone along the West Coast's busiest and most notorious highway. This is the true story of the I-5 murders, and this is Northern Crimes. Lisa Garcia, the survivor, later recounted the harrowing events of that night to the police. She and her coworker, Sherry Hall, had been casually chatting while cleaning the offices. Suddenly, an armed man appeared, his intentions far more sinister than mere robbery. After assaulting both women, he then shot them. Sherry Hall died instantly, but Lisa Garcia, defying the odds, survived. Her survival would later provide investigators with a crucial piece of the puzzle, leading them to a dark truth that had been haunting the I-5 corridor for months. The attack on Sherry Hall and Lisa Garcia, it wasn't an isolated incident. For months, a string of similar crimes had been reported along Interstate 5, stretching from Northern California all the way to Washington State. Women were being assaulted, robbed, and attacked at gas stations, convenience stores, and office buildings, all located within a short distance of the highway. Each crime shared common elements: a male suspect with an athletic build, often wearing a disguise. Sometimes he donned a fake beard, other times a bandage over his nose. He was methodical, efficient, and always seemed to vanish into the night before law enforcement could arrive. The media would dub the perpetrator the I-5 killer and spread fear through the communities along the highway. The randomness of the attacks made everyone a potential target. Women grew afraid to work late shifts, and business owners installed extra security measures hoping to deter the killer. Despite tireless efforts from police across multiple jurisdictions to connect the dots, the I-5 killer remained elusive. As investigators delved deeper into the series of crimes, a name repeatedly surfaced: Randall Woodfield. Though previously questioned, Woodfield's involvement in earlier crimes remained unproven. Who was this man, and why had he caught the authorities' attention? To unravel this mystery, we need to journey back to the beginning, to the small coastal town of Otter Rock, Oregon, where Woodfield's story began. Randall Woodfield was born on December 26, 1950, into an upper-middle-class family. He grew up in a picturesque setting along the Oregon coast, with two older sisters and a father who was a successful executive at Pacific Northwest Bell. From an early age, Woodfield showed athletic promise. He excelled in sports, particularly football, and quickly became a local star at Newport High School. To those around him, Woodfield seemed like he had everything going for him. However, just beneath the surface, early signs hinted that all was not well. As a teenager, Woodfield's behavior started raising red flags. He was caught exposing himself to young girls, incidents that were quietly swept under the rug to protect his promising football career. His high school coaches, keen on their star player's success, concealed these episodes. When Woodfield turned 18, his juvenile record was expunged, allowing him to leave these troubling events behind. He continued his football journey, securing spots at Treasure Valley Community College and later Portland State University. At Portland State, Woodfield thrived on the football field as a wide receiver for the Vikings. He also immersed himself in religious groups, joining the Campus Crusade for Christ and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. To teammates and friends, Woodfield seemed a clean-cut, devoted young man. However, his off-field behavior painted a much different picture. Multiple arrests for indecent exposure revealed a pattern of deviant behavior that appeared to worsen over time. Despite his troubling behavior, Woodfield's athletic talent caught the attention of NFL scouts. In 1974, the Green Bay Packers drafted him in the 17th round. This opportunity seemed like a turning point, a chance for fame and success. However, Woodfield's time with the Packers was brief. Cut during preseason, his professional football career ended before it truly began. Disappointed and adrift, he returned to Oregon, where his life began to unravel. By the mid-1970s, Woodfield had abandoned his football dreams and turned to increasingly violent criminal behavior. In 1975, he was arrested for a series of assaults on women in Portland, threatening them with a knife. Caught in a police sting operation, Woodfield was convicted of second-degree robbery and sentenced to 10 years in prison. However, he served only 4 years before being released on parole in 1979. Following his release, Woodfield's behavior became more erratic and dangerous. The murder of Sherry Ayers in October 1980 marked the beginning of his violent spree. Ayers, a former classmate whom Woodfield had known since childhood, was found in her Portland apartment. She'd been brutally attacked and left to die. Ayers was a University of Oregon graduate and an X-ray technician, well liked by those who knew her. Woodfield was questioned about her death, but without enough evidence to link him directly to the crime, he was released. However, this would only be the start of a series of brutal crimes that would follow. As November 1980 drew to a close, Woodfield's murderous rampage intensified. His next victims were Darcy Fix, a 22-year-old woman, and her boyfriend, 24-year-old Douglas Altig. On a quiet evening in North Portland, Woodfield invaded Fix's home, catching the unsuspecting couple off guard. With cold precision, he bound both Fix and Altig before shooting them. The brutality of this double homicide sent shockwaves through the community. In a chilling twist, investigators later uncovered that Woodfield and Fix were connected through mutual acquaintances at Portland State University. This revelation added a disturbing layer to the crime, suggesting a calculated choice of victim rather than a random act of violence. However, despite this connection, law enforcement again found themselves at an impasse. The lack of concrete evidence linking Woodfield to the murders allowed him to slip through the cracks. This left him free to continue his reign of terror along the I-5 corridor. As 1980 faded into 1981, Woodfield's violence escalated. His crimes extended beyond murder to include a string of armed robberies along Interstate 5. On December 9, 1980, he robbed a gas station in Vancouver, Washington, wearing a fake beard. 4 days later, he held up an ice cream parlor in Eugene, Oregon. And on December 14, he robbed a drive-in restaurant in Albany, Oregon. He had a distinct modus operandi during these crimes, often using a disguise and brandishing a gun to intimidate his victims. In January 1981, Woodfield's rampage continued. He robbed the same Vancouver gas station for a second time and committed another robbery in Eugene. On January 12, he escalated his violence further by shooting and wounding a female clerk at a grocery store in Sutherland, Oregon. Then, on January 14, he invaded the home of two young sisters in Portland. His cruelty would leave a lasting scar on their lives. On January 18, 1981, Woodfield's actions took a deadly turn in Kaiser, Oregon. Entering an office building late at night, he encountered Sherry Hall and Lisa Garcia, two young women working the night shift as cleaners. Woodfield assaulted both women, then shot them, leaving them for dead. Sherry Hall succumbed to her injuries, but Lisa Garcia miraculously survived. Her survival would be pivotal in eventually bringing an end to the madness. But Woodfield wasn't done. Not long after the attack in Kaiser, Woodfield's path of destruction led him to Mountain Gate, California. On February 3, 1981, he entered the home of Donna Eckerd and her 14-year-old daughter, Janelle Jarvis. Both were later found in bed, each having been shot. This double murder shocked the quiet community. It underscored the escalating brutality of the I-5 killer. By February 1981, Woodfield's violent spree had captured the full attention of law enforcement across multiple states. Detectives from various jurisdictions collaborated, piecing together the puzzle that pointed to Woodfield. His erratic behavior, the connection to past victims, and the mounting eyewitness descriptions were tightening the noose. On March 5, 1981, Woodfield was brought into the Salem Police Department for interrogation. Evidence found in his Springfield apartment, including a spent .32 caliber bullet and a roll of tape similar to what had been used in the crimes, provided crucial links. Further, Lisa Garcia's identification of Woodfield in a photo lineup, along with other witness testimony, helped solidify the case. By March 16, Woodfield was indicted on multiple charges including murder, assault, and robbery. In the summer of 1981, Randall Woodfield stood trial in Salem for the murder of Sherry Hall and the attempted murder of Lisa Garcia. The trial captivated the nation, shedding light on the dark and violent path Woodfield had carved along the I-5. After just 3.5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict. Randy Woodfield was sentenced to life in prison plus 90 years, ensuring he would never walk free again. Randall Woodfield's reign of terror along the I-5 corridor left a trail of devastation and sorrow. While only convicted of one murder, the evidence, including DNA testing in 2012, suggested his crimes spanned much further, involving numerous assaults, robberies, and potential homicides. Woodfield's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind even the most unsuspecting facades. To this day, he remains in the Oregon State Penitentiary, serving out his life sentence. Though justice was served, the questions of why and how such violence could manifest in one individual remain unanswered. The legacy of the I-5 murders still linger in the mists of the Pacific Northwest, a stark reminder of the unpredictable nature of evil.